Gallant American Women.
Story of women who have helped to develop the American way of life.
Daughters of destiny, mothers of might, co-makers of history. Women whose names are written large upon the honor rolls of our nation's greats.
Women courageous, who have served and sacrificed, worked and dreamed, pioneered and persevered. Women whose names, deeds, and claims to fame have often been forgotten.
This is their story, and it is your story. 3 centuries of women whose deeds are rooted deep in our past and whose influence will reach far into the future. It's the story of you, the pioneer women of today, who are blazing the trails of tomorrow. The United States Office of Education and the National Broadcasting Company take pride in presenting the 23rd chapter in this epic tale of women in the making of America.
Today we bring you the story of the women who have fed America, from taverns to tea rooms.
Dinner already? Say, stewardess, that looks great. And tomato juice and salad and fried chicken. Why, how did you know that's my favorite dish?
It usually is, with people from the South or West. Now, if you were an Easterner, you'd probably want lamb chops. Or a Midwesterner, you'd want ham or veal.
Do you mean to say you have all those extra kinds of meat right here on this plain?
No, just chicken today. Why, if I had an extra breadcrumb in that kitchen of mine, I'd have to bail out.
Huh, pretty close quarters, eh?
Every spoon has to fit as tight as those dishes fit on that tray.
Say, I was noticing those dishes. Sort of an unusual shape. Squares and oblongs.
That's right. They were designed by our food consultant, Mrs. Metzelsen, in New York. She plans the menus and counts the calories.
Well, you sure are a wonderful cook.
Sorry, but I can't claim credit for that food. Every bit of it was prepared in our ground kitchen, back in Chicago.
What? But it's piping hot.
Yes, we have special containers, also designed by Mrs. Metzelsen. All I have to do is turn the food out of them onto the plate.
Well, I certainly have a few things to learn about air travel. You see, miss, this is the first time I've ever been up in a plane.
It is?
Yeah, and, you know, it sort of makes me think. I mean, here I am, thousands of feet above the earth, traveling a couple 100 miles an hour, eating my dinner.
I know. I still marvel at it. I call this my Flying Silver Horse Tavern.
Well, I call it the height of dining. That's what it is. Yes, sirree. The height of dining.
Dining on high in a traveling tavern of modern America.
Dining on food planned, picked, and prepared by women hundreds of miles away.
And so the models of modern transportation bring America the finest in fresh food, while women blend their culinary arts of the ages with the knowledge of modern science to make our transportation possible, practical, comfortable.
In early America, when the taverns were stationary and transportation meant jogging on horseback down Indian trails through the forest, food and warmth and comfort were also of prime importance.
It is hereby ordered in this year of our Lord 1644 that every town in the colony shall license one sufficient inhabitant to keep a tavern for the leading and entertainment of the strangers. A tavern? And which of us, pray, has time to feed and entertain strangers? 'Tis so ordered, on penalty of fine.
I can't keep it. 'Twould be cheaper, methinks, for the town to pay the fine.
Aye, we have our families to feed and entertain. But, good sirs, 'tis so ordered.
Who cares about their order?
Really, Kyle, just think I might be licensed to keep the tavern.
You, Dame Trimble?
Well, being a widow woman with neither family nor income, would pleasure me to have strangers at my house.
And a goodly house it is, too. And goodly village. Let Dame Trimble keep the tavern.
Thank you, Mom, thank you. The governor and council will be well pleased. And to you, we'll go the grant of land.
What? What's that you say? A grant of land?
Ah, a reward to the tavern keeper. The council has promised it.
Well, why didn't you tell us?
Well, sires, I didn't know you would care.
Care? You blundering idiot.
But you said you had land enough.
Fool, and to think I might have been the tavern keeper.
Grants of land, pasturage for cattle, exemption from church rates and school taxes, all these were offered as inducement to the colonists who would keep the all-important tavern.
And as the trails widened to roadways, and more hoofbeats joined in the march of transportation, taverns sprang up. By the roadside, at the ferry crossings, in the town.
Stop at the sign of the Crown and Beehive.
The Pig and Whistle.
The Flying Fox, entertainment for man and beast. According to the latest count made in 1714, the city of Boston has 10,000 inhabitants, with 34 taverns, 12 of which are kept by women. 4 victualers, 1 of them a woman. 41 liquor vendors, 17 being women. 3 cider sellers.
So the women were playing their part in housing and feeding and quenching the thirst of the American traveler, offering home comfort to those who were on the road.
And as those roads became wider, and carriage wheels followed the clip-clop of horses' hoofs, the roadside tavern became the social center of community life, with the tavern keeper as the hostess.
Tis the season to be jolly. La 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 la.
Come right in! Come in, ladies and gentlemen!
Merry Christmas, Dame Livingston.
Merry Christmas to you all! Here, let me brush that snow off of you. Uncle Light, take their wet things. Oh, Mattie? Yes? Fetch our guests a bowl of hot toddy.
You haven't forgotten how to take care of us, have you, Dame Livingston?
Oh, glory be, I should hope not. Now make yourselves comfortable, ladies and gentlemen. I hear the merrymaking started already. Merrymaking? Well, I should think. Singing and dancing and such goings on. Here, let me take your bonnet.
Oh, look at the fire she's got burning for us. And a pig on the spit.
Aye. And there's plenty more in the kitchen. And rabbit and venison and Brunswick stew.
Real Brunswick stew with squirrel meat in it?
Real Brunswick stew.
Yeah, most like she put a fox in it, too. Dame Livingston was never one to waste good meat.
Ah, go along with you, Mr. Culpepper. Now make yourselves right at home, ladies and gentlemen. You'll find we have every newspaper that's printing in the colonies, and many an English magazine, too.
Here's the toddy, Miss Livingston.
Now, who'll have a glass? Will you, ma'am?
What's here? Good friends, I propose a toast. To the best tavern keeper in the colony of Virginia. To Dame Livingston of Fredericksburg.
To Dame Livingston.
Ah, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And now may I propose a toast?
Aye, let Dame Livingston make the toast.
To my friends and patrons, health and good fires, good success, loving courtship, and good wives. And lastly, a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. So they played their part in the making of America, those early tavern keepers, molding social custom with their food and drink and entertainment, providing good cheer and comfort for the weary traveler, and making transportation more practical.
Their names and deeds are nearly forgotten, those early tavern keepers, save for quaint advertisements in faded brown newspapers.
Mistress Margaret Penifew wishes to inform the public that she is opening her home as lodging for ladies and gentlemen. She has 12 good rooms, which will hold 2 or 3 beds each. For lodging in clean sheets, 1 in a bed, 6pence. If 2 in a bed, 3pence and 3 farthings. If more than 2, there will be no charge.
Mrs. Jane Vogue, whose tavern house in Williamsburg has often been the stopping place of General Washington, wishes to announce that all members of the Ohio Company residing in the states of Virginia and Maryland will meet at our house on Monday next to discuss the westward expansion of our new nation.
So they played their part, those early tavern keepers, providing a stage set for scenes in the great American drama, for secret meetings during the days of the Revolution, for gala gatherings as eyes turned westward.
lumbering Conestoga wagons, the transportation of the pioneers.
And as wagon wheels rumbled on into the wilderness, the travelers found taverns to welcome them. And tavern keepers...
Come right in, folks. Always can make room for one more. You folks bound for Kentucky? Well, I got another family heading down that way I'd like to make you acquainted with. Joshua, take those horses out to the barn and rub them down. Come right on in, folks. Make yourselves to home. Taverns of rough-hewn logs along the wilderness road. Fresh-painted taverns of the ferry slips along the Ohio and the Mississippi. Taverns of raw new boards of the mining towns of the West.
Hey, Annie, how about them spuds?
Here we come, Joe, and steak Willem.
Oh, man alive, what a meal.
Hands off till you fork over $10 silver.
$10 silver. Hey, that's highway robbery.
And that's genuine Texas Longhorn. Not a slice of coyote or a hunk of an ox that's dropped in its tracks crossing the desert.
I know, but $10 silver.
Listen, Joe, if you'd rather have cheap prices and good, clean, honest eating, you can go to that hash house down the street.
Now, Annie, you know that place gives me the collywobbles.
Then you gotta pay for what you get. I grub-staked you, didn't I, when you first came out to pick your claim?
Sure did. Reckon I wouldn't have that claim if it hadn't been for you.
Then you got to divvy up now you've reached pay dirt.
Why, Annie, that don't sound like you.
Oh, wait. It ain't some money I'm after, Joe. Why, I could have a dozen gold mines if I'd have took the claims I've been offered in return for a good square meal. But somebody's got to feed these men that come out here without no women folks to look after 'em. And somebody's got to pay 'em. 'Cause pay or not, when I serve steak, I mean steak. If I have to drive it on the hoof, clear from Abilene.
I could tell the fellows way back home they have a cinch. That old Andy sells us longhorn steak at $10 an inch. And although I have been lucky digging hard for yellow gold, still my bag is pretty empty now, and I am growing old.
So they played their part, the women who made a business of 3 meals a day, providing good food for hungry pioneer appetites from backwoods New York to California, providing the material of which men and cities and nations are made.
But as the cities grew and transportation speeded up, both the taverns and the women who managed them were beginning to disappear from the scene.
Trains replacing the covered wagons, big hotels crowding out the little inns and taverns, French chefs replacing the women cooks in the hotel kitchens.
Yet here and there were women who still earned their living by their culinary art. In little pastry shops on city side streets, in the canning factories, where their homegrown knowledge of pickling and preserving opened a way for them.
Well, come on, Amy. We'll have to work faster than that filling these jelly jars. Amy, what's that marmalade it'll overcook?
Oh, marmalade. Nothing but marmalade. If I see another orange,
Why, Amy, I thought you liked cooking.
I did like it at home, where I could use a little imagination inventing new things to eat. But here, just stirring a kettle full of marmalade...
Well, it's a job, isn't it, doing the thing you know how to do best?
But I could do a much better job if I just had a chance. If I could plan the meals for some big, stylish restaurant or...
You think any restaurant owner would trust a woman with a job like that? Why, you gotta be a French chef and know how to make horse duvers and call eggs oofs on the menu. Oofs, French for eggs. Nobody stylish would order them if they knew what they were. Oh, here, you better stop daydreaming and get back to your kettle of marmalade. I tell you, a woman just doesn't have a chance at the big cooking job. And for years, during the 1800s, women used their art of cooking, primarily as usual, to prepare 3 meals a day for their own families.
For years, 3 meals a day, year after year, day after day. And then suddenly, about the turn of the century, things began to happen. In Boston, women started serving their husbands a new kind of soup.
Ah, that soup tastes like more, dear. Got another bowl full out in the kitchen?
Why, no, John,
Well, you better double the recipe next time.
really like it that much.
Best thing you ever cooked. Oh. Now, that's what I mean when I say I want food like Mother used to make. I knew you could do it if you'd try. No, what's the matter? Just because I praise the soup that you've made, Darling, what on earth?
I didn't make it.
You didn't? Then who did?
Ellen Richards, or rather her cook.
Ellen Richards?
Yes.
Well, who's she?
Well, she
woman who thinks it's a science of food. She's opened a place called the New England Kitchen to provide good lunches for the school children.
Here, use my handkerchief.
Thank you. She thinks it's what you eat, not how much that counts. And since all the women have been raving about her soup...
Well, I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, dear, but it was good.
Well, I'm really glad that you liked it, John. Tomorrow night I'll have a whole meal that good.
A whole meal?
Yes, dear. The Women's Educational and Industrial Union is making hot dinners to send out.
You mean you let other women do your cooking for you in a community kitchen?
Well, why not, John? Other women do my laundry for me, my baking.
Yes, I know, but dinner's different. Why, it would ruin the sanctity of the home. Why, my mother would never think of a...
John, darling, didn't you say that soup tasted just like the kind your mother used to make?
Now, there's no use arguing about it. Dinner's supposed to be made and eaten at home. A community kitchen. Why, it's communism, that's what it is.
But in spite of husband's objections, the idea of a community kitchen took hold. Women were saving on food and fuel and labor in Carthage, Missouri, Montclair, New Jersey, and Evanston, Illinois.
By 1918, when food conservation became a national necessity, they knew how to get the most food value for the least money. And women all over the country banded together to can and cook for their communities. In an old building in the heart of the St. Louis factory district, they opened one of their kitchens, inviting the women workers to come inside.
Please come in. This is your kitchen. We just do your cooking for you.
You mean we should come here to eat like charity?
Oh, no. Here we all pay for our food. Just what it costs. You can bring your families here to eat or take the dinner home.
Yeah, but no much money we got.
That's why we're doing this, to save money and strength. We know how tired you must be after working in the factory all day while your husbands serve at the front.
Well, how much should we pay for dinner?
Well, for a good balanced meal, meat, potato, a vegetable, and dessert, it's 10 cents.
Oh, 10 cents. You hear, Master, just 10 cents.
And a half portion for children will be 5 cents.
5 cents for children. Yeah, that is good.
You see, we must protect the strength of our children. They'll need it to reconstruct the world again after this war to end war is finally over.
When the World War was finally over, the community kitchen had served its chief purpose in human conservation.
But women who had been cooking and canning and pickling for America carried on, delving deeper into the science of food, building up the business of 3 meals a day, doing the big job.
In Evanston, Mrs. James Odell of the Community Kitchens tried packing food into thermos containers. And to prove it would stay hot, she put it aboard one of the Pioneer mail planes bound for Cleveland.
Now remember, when you get to your highest altitude, just open this container and help yourself to a piece of hot chicken.
Lady, if you're right, this will be the first hot chicken that's ever flown. I've given up trying to eat in the air. It's so darn cold.
Then if I'm right, this experiment may really mean something. Next, we'll be serving whole meals in the air.
Well, you better not count your hot chickens, lady, before they're
Stand
hatched.
back there, lady. They're going to give that propeller a twist. Okay, all clear.
Remember, when you get up to your highest.
How far would you say that food could travel before it gets cold?
How far? How far can it fly? Well, I'd say the sky's the limit.
And the pot of chicken that flew on that Pioneer plane was just as important to the progress of aviation as the bag of mail.
Like the early tavern keepers, women were again aiding the march of transportation, making travel more comfortable, practical, possible.
And like the early tavern keepers, they in turn were aided by transportation. A new kind of vehicle that snorted and coughed as it rolled down a brand new stone road toward a prim white New England farmhouse.
What's the matter, driver? Are we out of gas?
No, you stay right there in the bus. I want to see if anybody's home here. Oh, say, driver, ask him if we can have a drink. Pardon me, ma'am.
If it's water you want, young man, for that noisy smelling contraption of yours, you'll find the pump around the side of the house.
Oh, thank you, ma'am. I wondered if I might ask a drink from my passengers, too.
A drink?
I thought perhaps you'd be willing to sell them a cup of tea.
What? Let strangers into my house? Let them use my mother's Haviland china and my great Aunt Harriet's silver spoon.
Sorry, ma'am. I just thought being as you're all alone here, you might enjoy the company. Excuse me for disturbing you. There wasn't any place else I could take 'em. I mean, any place nice for ladies. We'll be needing a tea room along here now that the stone road's cut through.
What?
Well, good day to you, ma'am.
Here, young man, wait.
Yes, ma'am. You mean you'll do it?
Oh, never said I wouldn't, did I? Guess I could spare a bit of tea.
We could use your everyday china.
Nonsense. Tastes better from Haviland. Then I could open a jar of wild strawberry jam and, do you think they might like some hot biscuits?
Oh, ma'am, I wouldn't want to put you to all that trouble.
Trouble? Fiddlesticks. It's a long time since I've had a tea party. Tea room. Sounds kind of cozy, doesn't it?
The tea room, modern successor to the tavern, catering to the comfort of the motorist.
Tea rooms springing up like mushrooms along the highways, at every crossroad, in every town.
The cozy corner tea room.
Stop at the Green Teapot.
Ye oldie tea shoppy. Stoppy innings.
Yes, those tea rooms, too, played their part in the making of America.
They made salads and vegetables an important part of the American diet.
They replaced the dark, dismal restaurants with an attractive, home-like atmosphere.
They gave more women the opportunity they'd been waiting for to make a public business of 3 meals a day.
During the past 10 years, while other concerns have closed their doors, the food industry has done $100 billion worth of business, adding hundreds of thousands of new employees. And most of those employees are women. Waitresses, canners, cooks, bakers, pickers, packers, managers, dietitians.
My name is Rebecca Shearer Huffcutt, and it's my job to put home flavor in commercial food. I manage the home cooking kitchen in one of New York's largest hotels, using old native American recipes, so that Clark Gable can order his pet potato dumpling, and Joan Crawford her hot tamale pie, and that you, when you come, may have your favorite dish, be it New England boiled dinner or Southern spoon bread.
I'm Grace Merrill, the woman who plans your menus whenever you ride on the Union Pacific Railroad. I was a dietitian in an Omaha hotel until some of the railroad men who ate there asked me to supervise their dining car service. So now, here I am, traveling 100,000 miles a year, experimenting with new foods, new recipes, feeding 6 million people.
My name is Elizabeth Chase, and my work may seem rather small in comparison, but it has meant a great deal to our community of Linden, Vermont. You see, about 30 years ago, when the boys and girls around Linden were finding jobs scarce and the far-off city much more attractive, I started our Home Projects Club. That's now grown into our maple sugar candy business. These days, things get right lively around Linden when the sap begins to run.
I'm Mary Lindsley, the woman who's had the fascinating task of helping to restore colonial Williamsburg. Picture the town as I first saw it, with telegraph wires and dusty streets. Then imagine the thrill of turning back the clock 200 years, rebuilding the taverns with their lovely gardens and pewter bowls, peopling them with waiters in satiny breeches and waitresses in long flowered dresses with silver buckles on their shoes, and the fun of serving those old tavern dishes, tipsy cake and Brunswick stew, real Brunswick stew with squirrel meat in it. From tavern to tea room to tavern again, women who have made a business of food.
One of those women served her last meal the other day, and all Broadway mourned her passing. She was Mary Morris, known to the theater folk as Hamburger Mary, the woman who made the hamburger respectable, and befriended many an actor who was down on his luck.
Yes, $1.25 for a hamburger dinner. That's what I asked. Just real round steak in my hamburgers. No leavings. Huh? What? You can't pay that much? Well, that's my price. Hey, wait a minute, youngster. Say, just when did you eat your last meal? Come now. You needn't try to fool Hamburger Mary. I know a half-starved actor when I see one. Here, sit down here to this table. Gene, fetch this stage-struck kid a hamburger. A big one. Now, never you mind. It's on the cuff. My cuff's wide enough to accommodate a good many dinners. And, by the way, if you're thinking of sleeping on a park bench tonight, I know somebody that's got a vacant room. No, of course not. Won't cost me a cent. Oh, honest. Say, what do you think I am, an easy mark? Do I look like the kind of woman that would throw money around? Huh, I'm a businesswoman. Hey, Jean, hurry up with that hamburger. Gallant American women, feeding America, providing cheer and comfort along the routes of travel, opening their homes and their hearts to passers-by. Women combining their ancient culinary art with a modern science of nutrition, providing the material of which are made men, cities, and nations.
You have heard the 23rd chapter in the panorama of Gallant American Women. Today's program was devoted to taverns and tea rooms. Next week, we bring you the story of women in science. The week following, Behind the Footlights. And the week following that, Children First, a special Child Health Day program. In presenting these educational radio programs, the United States Office of Education endeavors to treat all problems and subject matter in a strictly nonpartisan spirit. Gallant American Women, an NBC public service feature, is a series of dramatizations prepared and presented by the United States Office of Education, Federal Security Agency, and the National Broadcasting Company, with the assistance of the Work Projects Administration. Script by Jane Ashman. Program supervised by Eva Hansel. Historical consultant, Mrs. Mary R. Beard of the World Center for Women's Archives, and Dr. Eugenie Leonard. Original music by Rudolph Schramm.